Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Realty 411 and REI Wealth Zoom Blog Talk. And we're so excited that you're here. Now, today we have Brandon Cobb with the House Buying Guys from Nashville, Tennessee. Now, today we're going to talk about to Brandon about how he transitioned from a stable corporate career to becoming one of Nashville's busiest wholesalers and rehabbers in just a few years because his transition from working a corporate job to being self-employed did not take that long. It was streamless and really easy, and we're going to discuss it today. Now, Brandon has grossed nearly nine, actually, yes, grossed nearly 9 million a year with his house buying guys real estate business. And we're going to find out today how he's doing it. Welcome, Brandon. Nice to have you here with us.
Hey, Linda, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I know you're so busy, so we really appreciate your time. And I want to get right to the questions. Now, Brandon, first off, I want to congratulate you on your journey because, a lot of people want to get into real estate investing, but you actually did it. You went in, you dived in, and it really didn't take you all that long to be very successful in your field. So I want to congratulate you and I want to talk about your journey and how you kind of broke into the business. How did you break into the business of the real estate investing, rehabbing, as a career?
Yeah, great question. So when you say it was streamlined and quick, you were exactly right. So my background was in medical device sales. I worked for a company. We did sports medicine, so I was in surgeries every day, and I'd done that job for a couple of years. And then one day I woke up and found myself without a job. So I was sort of forced into the industry. Luckily I'd always lived below my means, so I had a little bit of a nest egg saved up, and I basically made a deal with myself. I go, hey, let's give this whole house real estate entrepreneur thing a shot. I think I got let go in June, and I set a goal to make some kind of income for myself in December. And I said, hey, I'll give it a 6-month shot. If for whatever reason I don't have any income by December, I'll just go jump back in and spend time and effort looking for another career.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much how I got into it. At that point, when I had lost my job, I knew that the number one thing that I needed was to figure out somebody who could be like a mentor to me, somebody who had the knowledge that I needed. And I needed to figure out how to add massive amounts of value to them so that they would work with me. So I started networking, going to real estate meetups, meeting people, understanding what their needs were, what they were trying to accomplish, and eventually found somebody who ended up, being a business partner of mine for a long time. And he taught me a lot of stuff and got me started in real estate. And that's basically how it started.
Very good. So you went out there, you hustled, you met people, you let everyone know that you started a career in real estate investing, and everything just kind of fell into place. But can you tell us how many years it actually took for you to kind of stabilize your business once you opened the doors?
Yeah, I felt like the advice I'd say is business is almost like never stable. I mean, you're either dealing with COVID or you're trying to grow your business, you're reinvesting it back into it, and you're going, man, I hope these profits go. So from like I use the word stable very, very loosely, but, I'd say 2 years we were doing very healthy profits. Profits were coming in. We'd just grown like this because we kept taking the profits and reinvesting it back into the company. And the fact that I was able to I didn't really burn the bridges, but the bridges were burned for me. I'd been let go from my job and had nothing but time and energy and motivation to go out there and make some money, because every month I'm looking at my bank account and it's getting lower. I better produce some kind of results. So it took, roughly 2 years to really get like a systemized business that was built around me up and running. And from there, when we systemized everything and the profits were coming in, it became very easy to reinvest it back in the form of more marketing, more operations, more staff, more A players, and then things just continue to grow from there.
Wow, very nice. Very nice. So my second question is, now, Brandon, we all know that financing is key in real estate. I mean, that's the foundation of every deal. How did you find the funds to get started in the beginning when you were new? Because that's something that a lot of investors admit to me, like, I'm brand new. No one will take me seriously. Tell us how you did it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I was new, and there were a lot of people who didn't take me seriously, but the piece of advice I would get is if you can find the deal, then it becomes easy to find the money. I started out working with local hard money lenders. This is where the networking really helps. So as I was going to a lot of these real estate meetups and networking with people, I came across hard money lenders who were like, hey, we lend on real estate deals. This is what we do. We can work with you. So at that point, it basically was up to me to go find a good deal. And, I brought it to them and they said, yeah, I'll fund this deal. And that's pretty much how we did it. And from that point, when we got really good at it and we had a lot of deals underneath our belt, I realized, hey, hard money is really, really expensive, and the terms can put a chokehold kind of on your business if you're wanting to do extreme volume. Hard money can get really expensive. So, I started reaching out to people, explaining what we're doing, and it turns out there's a lot of people out there that have money that it's not producing very much. It's in like a CD making 2%, or it's in a bank making like a fraction of a percentage. And I knew that I had these deals in this market that everybody was sought after. And I said, well, hey, if I can do this for the hard money lenders and make them a lot of money, why can't I do it for other people and make them money? So I started raising private money on the side. And to this day, we still continue to raise private money and invest people's interest and capital and diversified portfolios, and everything from apartment complex deals to rehabbing businesses to long-term notes on rent. I mean, you name it. We've come across quite a bit of opportunities. So we started with hard money lenders, and then as our experience grew and our need to raise more capital grew, we started diversifying into private money, people who needed to keep their money busy, and the rest is history.
Very nice. I love it. I love your story. And I know that you're going to be inspiring many of our readers. So I'm so excited. Now, do you recommend that new investors get started wholesaling if, they're brand new and don't have experience nor connections? Is that what you would do? Or do you just recommend networking as much as possible and, learning and then getting your first deal? What would you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what I wouldn't do, it could go either way, because the advice I'd give somebody else is probably not the same advice I'd follow for myself, because I'm a little bit more higher risk tolerance. When I started, I jumped all in. I started like one deal. I think I did one flip, took the profits, just reinvested it all back into marketing, and then started like a new construction project. I was trying to virtual wholesale in other markets. I was wholesaling in my market. I was all over the place, and I was stressed out. I don't recommend doing what I did, but then there's the value of the education. So because I jumped into like a new construction project in my first year and was doing virtual wholesaling in other markets, and I ended up losing like 40 grand on that new construction project, and our investors made like $20,000 still. I'm very proud of that fact. They still made money. I took the hit on it, but then there's the value of the education. Like, I learned so much from that experience. I learned what I didn't want to do really quick. So by starting in all these different areas, I learned really, really fast what I hated, which was managing contractors. So I knew to hire a project manager for that and get on that stat. And I realized what I was good at, which was sales. I was the sales rep for my business. That was the last position that I hired. If anyone's looking to scale their business and hire people, I recommend that they hire the position that they're best at last. You need to sit in that seat as long as possible so that you're continuing to grow your business. But at the same time, having all those failures under my belt enabled me to go ahead and just make all those bad decisions. And if you make enough bad decisions, then you're bound to make some right decisions. So I learned my exponential curve of learning was just through the roof. So I wouldn't have done it any different looking to me, but if I were telling somebody else to start out, I would say wholesaling is a great way because the barrier to entry is pretty low. It's a great way to learn the numbers. You can learn what other real estate investors who are flipping properties want.
Yes.
And after you've done enough deals, you know what other investors are kind of buying these things at. So it gives you a level of understanding of what do I need to go in and buy these things at. So you can wholesale enough deals, get some experience, and then jump into a flip after you've made the right connections. You've built up your humongous list of subcontractors that you're going to need, or GCs. You've networked and found the private money that you need. And you, most importantly, have the knowledge to know what a deal looks like, right? Because when you're finding these things and you're not moving them, that's telling you something. The market's telling you something. Or if you find it and you move it in an hour, you probably sold it for a little bit less than what you should have, and you learn those things. So I think wholesaling is a great way to get in. And one thing I want to say is don't be scared to go in and make some mistakes, right? Like let's say you break even on your first flip, you might consider that a huge failure. And it might be stressful, like learning to deal with the contractors and the rehab process, but think about what you learn from it and what that knowledge is going to allow you to make in the future. So don't be afraid to fail.
I love it. That's such excellent advice because so many people give up after failing once. They think that they're supposed to, come out a millionaire off one deal, and that just doesn't happen. I mean, all, deals can go south, and all the sophisticated investors I know have lost money in a deal, sometime in their career. But the whole key is not to give up. And I'm so glad that you shared that, it hasn't been all roses for you, because that's really important for people to hear and understand.
Absolutely.
Now, let's see what else. Now, can you take us back to one of your first deals and kind of share the process with us and the details so our readers can understand how you structured it?
Yeah. So one of my first deals I did that really allowed us to scale, because I just literally took the money and just dumped it back in the business. It was, I think, the second deal we ever did. It was a wholesale deal. It was in like Madison, Tennessee. It's about 20 minutes north of Nashville. And, this guy had gotten a card from us in the mail. I had literally gone around and like drove all the neighborhoods and picked out all the crappy houses and set like a mailing list up. And he called us, and I answered the phone, and I went out and I met him, and I did a really good job of understanding what his needs were. His mom's sister had unfortunately passed away and left his mom the house. The house had like rats in it. It looked like it was in bad shape. He knew that he was not going to be able to like fix it. The son was managing it, so I was dealing with the son who was trying to help his mom out, and she just needed to get rid of it. But it was kind of had some title issues. There were some probate issues with it. So the only thing I knew how to do was, if I didn't know how to do something, go find the person that did. So found a probate attorney. He said he could get it through probate for a little, like I think like $2,000 or something like that. So I set an appointment up with him. I paid for the first appointment with the probate attorney. It was $200. We realized, hey, we can actually do this.
Yeah.
And they were cool with taking like a reduction on the sales price, to pay for the attorney fees, and hooked them up with that. And then we started cleaning up the title. He pushed it through probate. Everything worked out 6 weeks later. We structured it. I think we had it under contract for like $72,000. And, while we're going through the probate process, we put a lockbox on it and communicated to the buyer that we were going to have some of our partners and contractors and people go through the property. And, we started marketing it to our cash buyers list and ended up selling it for, I think, like 105, 110, something like that. It was like a $30,000-$40,000 wholesale. It was really good. And yeah, so we got it under contract with somebody else. We did like a double close on it. We closed on it ourselves and then sold it to the new buyer. And that's pretty much how it all unfolded, and that's how we structured it. And it turned out to be a really good deal for us.
Awesome. I love it. That's great. Thank you so much for taking us through your deal. That's so important so people can understand it and visualize how those deals get done. Um, Now, Brandon, before we go on, can you share with our readers and listeners your contact information so that they can call you and talk real estate directly?
Sure. You can reach me. My phone number is 615-338-9919. It's just 615-338-9919. If you call the office, I think our website's sellmyhomenashville.com. You can call the office and talk to Amanda and just ask to speak with Brandon. Just let her know you're an investor, want to chat with Brandon. She can set up an appointment with you. And my email is kind of hard. I'm going to give my personal email because the company one, everybody screws it up. But my personal email is Brandon Cobb. That's just BrandonCobb, Brandon Cobb 901@gmail.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Speaking of 901, let's talk about the Nashville market. So tell me about what's the inventory like? Here in California, there's absolutely no inventory. Things are really tight. So I wanted to see what's the inventory like in Nashville? What's the current pricing like? And what do you foresee the appreciation to be in 2021 and beyond?
Yeah, great question. So the supply is like nil. All the stuff, all our rehabs are selling in like a week. I mean,
Wow.
it's just crazy. The supply is hardly nothing. I'm sure COVID has a lot to do that. I can't give you the exact demographics of like what's creating that supply glut, but the demand is through the roof. The supply is low. I mean, it's just wild.
Wow.
And as far as the price appreciation, honestly, if somebody tells you they know exactly what's going to happen with home sale prices, they're lying to you. Nobody knows. It's like the stock market. It goes up, it goes down. Nobody can see the future. But what I try to do is I just try to learn from people who've been in my shoes, who are a lot older and more experienced and mature in this, and they've been around the block. And the guys I talk to who've been through like 4 market cycles. They say that Nashville looks like a younger Atlanta. Some
Okay.
of these markets they're a lot bigger,
Yeah.
and it's getting away from that small town feel.
Okay.
But you just got so many factors that are driving demand here. There's so many the city's giving tax credits to all these businesses to move here, which is creating jobs. It's still a very affordable place to live. There's like no income tax. um, Here, I mean, there's just so many great things. There's tons of people moving from California here because they're just sick of
Oh,
the taxes
wow.
and the home prices.
Yeah.
So all those reasons are creating a perfect storm for an amazing market here.
Let's not forget it's the country capital of the world, right?
Yeah.
Love that country music. Great. Wonderful, Brandon. Now, how has COVID affected Nashville and Nashville real estate? Are you guys running around with masks on like we are in California? Are you social distancing there in your business as well? What are you seeing there right now?
Yeah, so everyone's wearing masks. A lot of the restaurants are like 50% capacity, so you have to wear a mask in the restaurant. They've got like every other table closed, so they're opening up. A lot of the restaurants have done a phenomenal job of pivoting. I mean, they've got these huge to-go signs, and their websites are set up on to-go orders, and they're all on the Postmates app and Uber Eats delivery. So the economy is still doing well here. There is a lot of businesses that are, they did shut down. A lot of small businesses didn't make it, and some of them have been coming back. Some of them have not been,
Yeah.
but things are still open. I know like the big tourist scene, a lot of stuff has been shut down, but a lot of stuff on like Broadway, which is like the main street, a lot of stuff is open. They just have to abide by certain rules. There's a capacity, so they're only allowing so many people in the business, and you have to wear a mask, and the tables are open every other table. So, we haven't done like a full lockdown shutdown like California. I think the politicians we have in charge and our leaders are doing a good job of trying to keep things open and keep
Yeah.
things safe.
Wonderful. It's so nice to hear because, the economy here has really been decimated. And I've seen restaurants, second, third generation restaurants like go out of business. It's very sad. So it's nice to know that things are moving much smoother in Nashville. Now, what about the typical rental market. Can you give us an indication of what a typical 3-bedroom, 2-bath would sell for and also rent for? So we can determine the gross rent multiplier.
So it's gonna depend on the area. So what's happened is I don't look at Nashville as being Nashville. I look at it as Middle Tennessee. So you've had such a boom in Davidson County, which is like that main surrounding county of Nashville, where home prices have just skyrocketed. So in some of your areas where things are gentrifying, you see homes around that $250,000 mark,
Okay.
and your median home sale price in Nashville is going to be around $350,000. Now your rents are going to be somewhere in the 1,200 to 1,600 range for that lower price point. In that median home sale price point, you can probably get it up to 2,000, maybe even 2,200 some areas, and potentially higher if it's a new build. I've seen rents as high as like 330,000 for some of these new builds. But what's interesting is the rental market. For investors, honestly, it's really hard to find like a really good cash flowing rental in Davidson County. But what's happened is Nashville has had such a boom and an escalation of home prices that a lot of the people that have these old dilapidated homes or this land, they've been selling it. And what they do is the people who can't afford to pay the taxes anymore because the appreciation of their properties are selling their houses, and they're moving all these suburbs. Nashville's like this perfect rental storm where you've got this huge movement of the lower income people out to Clarksville and Gallatin and Springfield and Lebanon and Dixon and Murfreesboro. And those are the suburbs. The rental markets there have boomed. I mean, you can still pick up homes in Clarksville and Gallatin and Murfreesboro for under $100,000, and the rents are $1,000, $1,200 on some of these.
Nice.
I mean, it's just crazy. The rental market there has just taken off because the demand went through the roof when Nashville really took off.
Those sound like really good buy and hold markets for, landlords. Um, that sounds really good. Do you work in those areas as well?
We do. We service all of Middle Tennessee. We're not just Nashville. We go to all the suburbs as well.
Wonderful. That sounds fantastic. Well, Brandon, it's always a pleasure to connect with you. Before we conclude our interview, is there anything that you want to add for our readers, our listeners, anything that I may have missed?
Your success is going to be determined on how you grow throughout the process, and the best indication of whether or not you should do something or whether or not something's going to allow you to grow is paying attention to those butterflies in your stomach. So on your journey, if you ever come across something where you feel awkward about doing something, or you recognize those butterflies, whether it's calling someone for some money for a project, or calling a seller that you want to make an offer on, or just going out and networking with people, if you get those butterflies in your stomach and you feel nervous, chances are that's where the growth is about to take place. Notice that feeling and act on it.
Very nice, Brandon. Great advice. Give us your contact information before we let you go, please.
Sure. It's the email, the phone number is 615-338-9919. Again, that's 615-338-9919. Sound like an infomercial. And then my email is Brandon Cobb 901@gmail. That's just BRANDONCOBB 901@gmail.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brandon. It's been a pleasure to reconnect with you. I want to thank everyone for joining us and learning from us today. Be sure to visit reiwealthmag.com, where you can see Brandon's magazine and download it right now. And it'll be available for the rest of the year up there. So also it's available on realty411.com as well. So you can visit both websites, take a look at Brandon's wonderful magazine, and be sure to subscribe so you can get an actual print copy, because it's a beautiful magazine and I know you'll love it. So Brandon, thank you again for everything. We're going to go ahead and say goodbye. And thanks, everyone. I appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Linda. See ya.
Brandon.